No API, no problem. We're going to go through building declarative agents with Dev Proxy. I am going to go through actually a sample which was mentioned earlier. And let's jump to my next slide, which is going to tell you all about these different samples. So if you're building declarative agents and you are maybe using an API that you don't control, maybe it's something that's just in production that you have to hit all the time when you're doing development, and you don't want to, maybe you want a mocked API. Then Dev Proxy can solve that problem for you. So what I've done is I've created 4 different samples that replicate all the different ways in which your declarative agents API plugin can authenticate when it's in Copilot. So we have OAuth with Entra, we have Entra SSO and API key as well. The sample which I'm going to go through today is the Entra SSO because I think that's most relevant to people in the call. So good to know. That is the end of the slides. We're going to go straight into VS Code and we're going to look at the sample, which I talked about. What I've mentioned, Dev Proxy can be used to simulate an API. Not only just that, it can be used to simulate different behaviors from APIs like error handling, even throttling, and also latency, amongst lots of other things. But today we're going to stick to just simulating the API. So we have this sample, which is a restaurant agent in M365 Copilot, but it has no API backend. We're going to use Dev Proxy for that. So how this works. M365 Copilot is a cloud platform. We can't mock everything, and especially when it comes to authentication, we still need that part because we need Copilot to be able to generate a real token for us, to send that token through to Dev Proxy via a dev tunnel where we can validate that that token and simulate a response all the way back through the dev tunnel to M365 Copilot. So this works exactly the same way as as you would build a normal declarative agent against a real API. Dev Proxy just sits in the middle and intercepts the requests that are being made. So to go through the sample, what do you need at first? So this is a sample that's based on the Microsoft 365 Agents Toolkit. So this is the extension that we used to scaffold the project that we updated. We also have the Dev Proxy Toolkit. So this installs Dev Proxy. It also adds in some tasks for VS Code so that we can start and stop Dev Proxy when we hit F5 when we're debugging, and also the dev tunnels extension as well, which does the same thing. It gives us a task that we can start and stop dev tunnels directly from VS Code. So there might be some moving pieces in this sample, but everything is done on F5 and makes it really, really simple for you. So if we look at the declarative agent, we can have a look in here at the declarative agent JSON. It's very simple. We've got a couple of conversation starters and we have our API plugin. If we look at the API plugin, it's configured to use authentication. So in this case, we've already got something configured in M365. In default, we've got a Entra SSO registration. And in our API spec. In here, we have some additional security. So we actually have a security scheme for Entra SSO. We have some custom scopes as well. So we can say this particular endpoint requires this scope. And if we go down into here, we can see the details of our security schemes, what flow it's using, the authorization URLs, token URLs, and the scopes that can be used as well. So when you hit F5 in this sample, there's going to be a few things happen. First of all, it's going to run these set of tasks. One of the things which I mentioned earlier, we have an extension for dev tunnels. And if you're, if you've used Agents Toolkit before, you might just think, well, hang on, there's a task already in Agents Toolkit to start and stop a dev tunnel. There is. However, there are some limitations around that, of which this is the reason why this extension exists. One, it doesn't support persistent tunnels, so the URL changes every single time. You might not need that. And also, it doesn't support host headers either. So this task is just more complete, gives us more options, less limitations. That's why we're using it in this project. So when we started our dev tunnel, we're going to provision some resources. This is in the M365 agents YAML. We're going to create the Teams app. We're going to create an app registration as well. And we can look in here. We have our app registration that we're going to use for auth with our custom scopes, and also the token storage as well, where our token is going to be stored in M365, and Copilot's going to get that for us. There is a task in here to register in the portal, the SSO client. Unfortunately, that's not working today. There is an active incident. There's a fix in progress. If you try this today, you might get a 403 error. I've just commented it out, and I did this manually, but this allows the sample to work. If we head back, we then have Dev Proxy being started. So we have a task in here which starts Dev Proxy. Now, Dev Proxy is an API simulator, and it works from a configuration file. So this configuration file basically tells Dev Proxy, hey, when you receive requests, here's how you can handle it. The important thing is this URLs to watch. It's looking out for a request from a particular URL. Once it sees that, it goes, okay, I've got something I need to deal with. I'm going to process it through a series of plugins. If you think of plugins like behaviors, and one of the plugins that we have is called the CRUD API. CRUD API plugin is what we're going to use to simulate an API. So if we look here, we have our dishes endpoint, and we have a data file to go along with it, which we'll look at in a minute. But in here, Dev Proxy knows that this is an Entra protected endpoint, and therefore will validate tokens coming in. So in here, we've got some config to say, okay, can we check the audience and check the issuer as well, so that we know that the token that is coming to us, we can validate and then actually return some data. If it's wrong, then we'll obviously send back an appropriate response. We won't send the data back. So if you really want to get into testing your security as well without actually building your API, you can do that with Dev Proxy. And if we look at the dishes data in here, we've just got a simple array of JSON objects with different items that our restaurant has available. If I quickly go back, we've got the actions which determine what type of actions this endpoint can satisfy. So get all, it's pretty simple. It's to return all the items. Get one, where the URL in here has the placeholder. So we can do filtering as well in Dev Proxy. So we have this query that uses JSON path syntax. And we've got other actions as well to do updates, deletes. It's a full CRUD functionality on these endpoints. We've also got another as well. We can add more endpoints. Here's one for orders, which we're using to create orders or return them as well. Again, we've got the configuration there so that we can validate tokens on the way in. So from here, what we can do is we can actually I'll jump into the portal just to show you the configuration. So here is our app registration that has been created. And if I go into the developer portal in here, we can see our client ID registration as well. So this should open in a second. Oh, no, it's just redirected. Let's try that again. Okay, so in here, we've got our ID, we've got our application ID, URI, and we can see here that we have our dev tunnel endpoint as well. So this is where Copilot is going to send the requests and the link to the application ID as well, which is the app registration, which has all of our configuration all on there and our custom scopes as well, just like what we saw in the JSON file in the project. Okay, so we've gone through all of this. Now we can run this project. So we'll start debugging and a few things will happen. The automation will kick in. And if I go to the terminal, so here it's setting up the tunnel. There is already a tunnel there because I've already been through this. So it just stood up a new instance of the tunnel. So this is now live. If I go back to the terminal as well, once it's done the things that it needs to do in M365, we will get a new task, which will be starting Dev Proxy. So in here, we can see that these actions have been loaded and it's opened M365 Copilot as well for us. So if I just go back for a second, so this is the ready state. So we can see Dev Proxy is here now, ready and waiting to look for requests that are coming in through that dev tunnel with that API ristorante header. So if I go back to, come on, wrong one, this one. Where is this gone? Ooh. The window has disappeared. There we go, it's back. So if I go to my agent now and I say, what's for lunch? So this is going to hit our API. Oh, connecting. There we go. That one came through. So I'll blame Copilot for this one. So now if we can go back to VS Code, we can see that the request came through and Dev Proxy handled that and it sent the response back. So we have Dev Proxy simulating an API with these configurations. If we want to add any more endpoints, we can do by just incrementing, adding extra CRUD API plugins. We've got a DevTools plugin, which if you're not keen on the command line output, you can actually open up a browser and use like the Chrome DevTools to inspect the requests coming in. You can see all the headers and things, and you can add more types of plugins, like I mentioned earlier. Let's say you wanted to add latency to your requests, so you could simulate slow API requests, then you can do this as well. So with that, we're close for time. If I just go back to the browser. So Dev Proxy is an API simulator that's going to help you simulate APIs, but also test for error scenarios as well, throttling, slow responses. Just go to aka.ms/devproxy. You'll get to our webpage. It will get to all of the samples, the docs, and also getting started videos as well. And with that, I will hand it over to David.